Welcome to the Earth Your Wow podcast, brought to you by Reuserbox, providing a better way to buy cardboard boxes. We're your hosts, Jack and Ellie.
This is the podcast where we talk to industry experts and changemakers to try to answer the question, how do we make our businesses better for people and the planet?
On today's episode, we're joined by Thomas Laird, who is sharing his story behind Salt of the Earth. Salt of the Earth have been shaking up the deodorant industry for more than 30 years. They make natural, refillable deodorants that are chemical-free and eco-friendly, proving that you can build a successful business by doing the right thing by people and planet. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you very much for having me, Jack and Ellie. Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you.
Cool. So for anyone not familiar with Salt of the Earth, can you tell us a bit more about your origin story and your journey?
Yeah, of course. So the company was founded in 1993, and the couple that founded it, they saw this crystal deodorant at a trade show. I think it was a trade show abroad, and thought, what a wonderful idea. We need to put this in shops. And they started this little business. They ran it from their homes. They got on some really cool customers, Holland and Barrett and A Vogel, a company in Scotland. And then fast forward to 2005, my mum, who has always been really entrepreneurial, my sister and I had just left for university, and she was looking for a challenge, and so she found this little company doing natural deodorants, and she was like, I use natural deodorants already. This is perfect. She's always been into natural health products. She used to make kefir in our kitchen, like brew this thing in a big vat, and it had like a layer of mold on the top. And it's not like the stuff you buy in the shops, which is nicely sweetened and stuff. Stuff tasted awful, and we were forced to drink this for our health. And so we kind of always been like we've always had this passion for natural health. And so she brought on this little business. She was running it from a room in our house. And I finished university in 2006. I'd always wanted to run my own business. I didn't have big aspirations. I just wanted to start the next Amazon or the next eBay. And I came out of university, and reality slapped me in the face. And I started working part-time for my mum when we didn't really have any business ideas to go for. And then part-time turned into full-time. And I really loved working for this small business where there's one or two of us in the office, working out the back of the house. At one point, we were cooking deodorant in tea urns in our kitchen. And we slowly started to grow the business, and then in 2008, I took over as managing director. We did a massive rebrand to Salt of the Earth just as the financial crisis started, and it was a really interesting time to be working, because like the business took a hit after the rebrand, and we decided that A, it was the wrong time, and B, that the change was so big that customers didn't recognize the product. And so people went into the stores looking for their product they used to buy, and they couldn't see it anymore because there's this new brand. So from that moment on, we kind of decided that iteration was the way. And so we'd like change colors slightly and then see sales go up. And we saw a lot of our competitors try and do big rebrands like every 5 to 10 years, and they'd do this big rebrand. No one would recognize them. And then 5 years later, they'd look really, really old compared to us, because we were like, oh, customers want vegan now. Let's get the vegan logo on pack and become a vegan company. So over the years, we scaled up. We now sold over 9 million deodorants, selling to 35 countries, and we've won 63 awards, including the King's Award for International Trade this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm kind of wondering, like, if you could like paint a picture of. I mean, imagine in the early '90s when crystal deodorant was a new thing. It was probably quite radical and hard to kind of get buy-in. But I still think probably, by 2006, I imagine it was still quite a tough sell in a way. So I just wondered, was that the case, and how did you get people to do something different? How did you overcome that?
That's a good question. I have to get my mind back. I think the brand was quite boring back in the 90s. So part of our big rebrand in 2008 was to make the brand more exciting, more relevant. And it's a cool product because it's very different to what's out there, and also it lasts so long. And I think that's probably one of the reasons we managed to get so many people to change over. I would say the market was a lot more niche back then, so it was mainly health food stores that we were selling into. Um, and yeah, I think it was that focus on the fact it lasted so long. People were still, if you're in the natural health space, people were still really looking for natural ingredients, and then it was just about making the brand more exciting and more relevant.
Can you explain what your crystal deodorant is, just for anyone that hasn't heard of it?
Yeah, so it's like a rock, and it comes in a case. You take the lid off, and then you have to wet it under the tap, and then you apply it, and it leaves a microscopic layer of natural mineral salt on your skin, and that inhibits odor-causing bacteria from growing. So it's kind of really cool natural way of stopping you from smelling. Basically, it doesn't stop you from sweating, but does stop you from smelling.
So it works really well then, because it's just essentially salt, is that right?
Yeah, so it's a natural mineral
That
salt.
kind of blows my mind a bit. Sorry. Yeah, because I feel like I'm quite a sweaty person.
Yes.
And I'll be
I'm
honest.
sorry, I'm not saying yes, you're a sweaty person. I'm saying
No,
yes,
it's
I can
okay.
verify
It's
it.
okay, I am. But I don't use a natural deodorant, and I feel a bit bad
Mhm.
about that, seeing as we're speaking to you today.
So you should. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
feel
you
like
should.
I've got to make the switch. But yeah, it's particularly like if you do sport, have you do these work for people that do a lot of sport and stuff? And what are the health benefits as well? Because you hear these bad things about the really effective ones that have a lot of chemicals in them. Yours obviously sound a lot better, and a lot better for the environment.
Yeah, okay. So I think to start off with that, I mean, they don't stop you sweating, so they do stop you smelling. The crystal is just got one ingredient, whereas say our sprays and our roll-ons and our stick deodorants have a lot more ingredients working in tandem. They kind of have like a hurdle system of different natural active ingredients to stop the odor causing bacteria from forming. So I play sport. I use them. I'm okay. I think different deodorants work better for different people. I think the original classic deodorant, it's probably lighter touch than our roll-ons, sprays, and our stick deodorants, but some people don't need massive odor protection, and some people do. So economy wise, it's brilliant. So we had people send them back after, or people write in after 3 years and said, "Oh, I've only just finished my crystal deodorant." Like,
3 years.
Wow.
it's amazing. Yeah, can you use it a bit quicker?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's so from that point, it's a really good product. In terms of the health benefits, I think a lot of people are trying to or try to avoid aluminium chlorohydrate, which is the antiperspirant ingredient that kind of creates a block in your pores to stop you from sweating. I think there were some studies at one point that said that that's led to things like breast cancer and stuff. I do think that's pretty much been debunked now, but it does stop you from sweating, which is one of your body's natural physiological processes. So I think a lot of people want natural ingredients. They want to be able to sweat naturally and not interfere with your body's physiological processes. So I think that's where we fit in. And also I think that natural deodorants tend to come with a stronger sustainability story as well, which people want more and more. I think back when we started, it was all about having natural ingredients, and now the market is a lot more about, why is this product more sustainable? So there's definitely been a change since we started.
And why is this particular product more sustainable? Is it just because it's got so much of a longer lifespan?
Yeah, I think for the crystal deodorant, it's because it's got a longer lifespan. For our sprays and roll-ons, we offer refills for them. So we were one of the first companies to bring out refillable spray deodorants back in 2013, and really easy to refill. You just buy a plastic a refill. So we do 501 liters. So that's 5 refills or 10 refills for your spray. And for the roll-ons, it's same sort of thing. And that saves about 60 to 70% plastic. We've now brought out pouches with 3 refills in, and that saves about 85% plastic versus buying individuals. So we're trying to come up with build in as much sustainability or improve the waste reduction as much as we can.
I think just the fact that your deodorant can last 3 years is incredible, and I think it's brilliant that you're doing that as a company as well, because obviously it doesn't make a lot of sense in a capitalist sense. But yeah, I think it's brilliant. I mean, you had a story about that, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I don't know if I should really say this, but it's fine.
They won't be listening.
So because I was kind of wondering, like, how do you draw that balance between building a good product that will last longer, be low impact, and obviously making money from it? Because, my girlfriend's dad, he works in a factory in Austria, and they kind of, one of the products that they make is these kind of razor blades for. I won't say who it is, but basically like the big everyday razor brands that everyone uses. You know, I really want to say who it is now. But anyway, that brand that's the best one for men apparently. So when they got the contract, so basically I went to their house once in Austria, and I was like, oh, these bloody razor blades everywhere. And I was like, why have you got all these razor blades? And apparently when they first got the contract, they tried to make like really good razor blades, and it didn't cost them any extra. And then the company came back to them. They said, what are you doing? These razor blades like don't wear out. And they were like, we can't make any money if people don't buy new ones. So they basically had to make much lower quality razor blades that only last, a few weeks. And I know he's been using the same razor blade for something stupid like 5 years or something, which is ridiculous. But I'm just thinking, like, with your products, like how do you get that balance? Like, because obviously, presumably, if people see your product on the shelf, if it's really expensive, does that mean people don't buy it, even if it's cheaper for them over the long term? Or
I think all natural deodorants are more expensive than your standard deodorant. I think people tend to be happy to pay the extra for our crystal deodorant. I would say it's only the crystal deodorant that lasts that long, and it does require people to dry them after use because they are water soluble. So if you're like me and you turn the tap on full blast and push it under there and don't dry it after, it will go a lot quicker. I think for those ones, it's such a classic product. It's the first product that we ever used, and we're just happy to keep it going. And we still get really good sales from it. It's really popular. Our sprays and deodorants, our sprays and roll-ons and sticks, they don't last that long, but they still do last a fair whack. I think our sprays can last, depending on how much of a heavy user you are, anywhere between 1.5 months to 6 months. So it's still a really, really good lasting product. And I think, people, especially in cost of living crisis, people want that extra usability.
Yeah, and in terms of like kind of like innovation with you guys, like how do you, like, if you start off with a really great product like that, how do you actually innovate? Or do you not need to innovate? I don't know. Is it more?
It took us a very long time, I think, to get from because one of the things I really wanted to do was have scented deodorants from when we started, and it probably took us a good 7 years to get there because the technology in natural ingredients wasn't there at the time. There wasn't such a big market, and we just couldn't find a way of creating this product, which I was been desperate for. Um, I think we're lucky at the moment that there's a lot more natural raw materials out there that you can use, so it does make innovation slightly easier. Um, and I think we kind of knew that you you know people like roll-ons, people like sprays, and that was something that we needed to replicate. Our first spray deodorant went really well, and then it was just a case of getting those scents in. Scents really bring an extra dimension, I think, for people with deodorants. It's kind of like a luxurious element. So when we finally got those in, there was a big celebration. There was only two of us in the office, but it was brilliant. It was a great party.
So I think you mentioned earlier that you started off your mum bought the company, so it's
Yeah.
family-owned business. What do you think are the pros and cons in working with family? Would you recommend it?
Um, yeah, so I know you guys are a family business as well.
Yeah.
Actually, I was listening to some of your podcasts to get ready for this. My favorite episode was the first one where you
Right.
guys were talking about your story,
Yeah.
and that was really cool. How you got into box selling through your dad and did it at university, and really how you kind of just turned up one day and were like, "I'm working here now." And then came
Yeah.
up with we're an environmental company thing. I think that's really cool. I think probably the best thing is I think it gives you more time with your family. It's a good because you spend so
Yeah.
much time at work. It's really nice to have that time with your family. I think it can get quite difficult at times if you've got different directions that you want to go, and I think that was difficult sometimes. But I think it's a really nice thing to do. Um, I don't know whether we'll continue being a family business in the future because I'm trying to sell my daughter on deodorants at the moment, but she's 5, and I'm like, what do you want to do when you get older? Do you want to sell deodorants? And she's like, no, no, I want to be a unicorn. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. So I've got some work there to do, I think, but I think it can get really emotional, and I think that's probably the downside. But I think the positive is that you get to spend more time with your family, which is obviously a good thing.
I never
But I
thought
don't know,
about
how
it
have
that
you
way.
guys found it?
Well, I was as you were talking, I was kind of well. To be fair, we probably wouldn't spend much time together if we were working together. So when you think about it, it is actually a good thing, as much as we like to pretend it's
Mm,
not. Um,
No, Jack
but
does.
but as you was thinking, I was thinking. I guess the most important thing in any business is like trying to get like culture right. Because you get the
mm,
right people and you get the right you get the right output out of them, you can just do amazing things. And I think when you've got a really small business, it's really hard because like
mm.
it's a similar journey to you, of just starting from basically nothing. But also, I kind of feel like we have a really nice, relaxed, a very we're quite blunt with each other, which I think is actually
Mm.
quite good. Rachel's
Yeah,
nodding,
it is. It is.
and it's kind of like, but it's created a culture where kind of everyone's like that in our team, and I actually
Mm,
think that's really good. Like a lot of people come here and they say, well, actually, it's not like that. A lot of other businesses, there's a lot more like ego and a lot more people sort of pretending that they have to know and say the right things, and a lot more kind of politics going on. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah,
I
Not
think
afraid.
I think that is really good. I
yeah,
do think that's really good because also you don't want, as a business leader, you don't want to be making decisions that are fundamentally wrong, do you? And I think it's a good testing ground. The other day I had a really good idea. I kind of thought about it all weekend and I was really psyched. And I was like, this is amazing. I presented it to the team and they're like, oh no, this is awful. What are you thinking of? And I came out of the meeting really disappointed, and I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, they're right. This was awful. I'm so pleased that they
mm,
kind of shot it
Mm.
down
I had
in
a
a
similar.
very nice way. But I
Mm.
think you kind of not all ideas are great, and you kind of need a proving ground, I think. And if people are allowed to say that,
Yeah. It's good to be
what
brutally honest sometimes,
Well, I
isn't
was going to say, I
yeah,
think the people that are best at being brutally honest are probably your
mm,
family because it's just like a different layer of connection, and
yeah,
yeah, I think it's important to do that with a team. So I guess it is a bit of a superpower, really.
yeah. I don't. We get the same feedback that not many businesses are happy to receive feedback. So I think I think it's definitely a superpower for sure.
we don't speak to many manufacturers. I was quite keen. Like it's hard making products and making it cost effective. That whole thing is it's a very challenging thing to do, especially as a small business. Like you guys, you're in an industry with such big multinational corporations. Like, how did you? And you've got quite a big company now. So, like, how did you manage to go on that journey and create a manufacturing business and make it successful? Like, what have been the biggest problems? What's been the biggest learnings?
Yeah, I would say it's been an interesting journey. When we started, we didn't have the volumes for manufacture to go to a contract manufacturer. So we started making in our kitchen with tea urns and a little propeller stirrer. And then we filtered the product with a swimming pool filter, like a swimming pool pump, through a filtration system, which I was so embarrassed about at the time. I haven't taken any photos, which I kind of regret now because everyone's like, "Do you have any photos from the early days?" And I was like, "No, I was too embarrassed to take any." But no, the products came out really well. And then as we grew, we did look to outsource some of it to a contract manufacturer, and we just couldn't get the quality right. We would get the bulk product made at a contract manufacturer, and it would come in and just wouldn't be right. And so we decided to invest in getting all the equipment to do it ourselves, which was a pretty scary thing to do at the time. And I can remember the day that our first vessel came in. It was this big 200-liter stainless steel vessel, and they came in and they dropped it off. And I'm used to buying consumer electronics, so you buy a microwave, it comes with a plug and it comes with an instruction manual. And they dropped this vessel off, and I was like, "Oh, okay, how do I plug it in?" And they're like, I was like, "There's no wire." And they're like, "Oh yeah, you have to get an electrician to do that for you." And I was like, "All right, okay." And I was like, "How do I clean it?" And they're like, "I don't know, everyone cleans them differently." And so I was like, how do you use it? And they're like, "I don't know." And so we kind of pushed this thing into place and had to get an electrician to wire it in. And then we just the first couple of weeks we just got showered with deodorant constantly because you press the wrong button and suddenly like this deodorant splurts over you. And it took us a while to kind of get used to it, but it's a very much a self-taught thing. And we eventually got more equipment. We worked out how to use it. We've now got ISO certification. And but now it's such an important thing in what we do. It's just part baked in. We kind of love the manufacturing side of it. It's really nice where our office, distribution, and manufacturing is all in the same place. So I can walk downstairs now and see what they're making on the factory floor. And it's really, really interesting. And I think I'm really pleased that we're forced to go down that route. I'm not sure many companies would want to go down that route, and I totally get why they probably don't want to be sprayed with product. But yeah, it was a steep learning curve, but I'm really pleased we did it, and now we've got the knowledge. It does make it a lot easier. But you buy these machines and you kind of assume they work perfectly, but actually it takes a lot of tweaking, a lot of designing, and a lot of educating yourself to be able to get them to work.
And if anyone else is thinking like, how do I start manufacturing a product? Like, what's the easiest way to start getting that knowledge in? How do what would you recommend?
To just buy it and
just buy it.
have a
Yeah,
go.
it's the best. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess it would depend on the kind of the volume levels. I think when we started, there weren't such strict cosmetic legislation, so you could cook stuff in your home kitchen. I don't know whether that's the case now, but I think probably start off as small as possible and then do some testing and then go understand what you need and then go to manufacturers and see. Obviously, now we have ChatGPT as well, so I'm sure they'll be asking AI what the answer is.
And with obviously you've got different types of accreditation, which is obviously like very common in your industry. Can you kind of talk us through that different accreditation and kind of like why you've got it and the benefit as well?
Yeah, so I'd say probably the gold standard of what we've got is Cosmos Natural. That is a natural certification. There's no legal definition to what a natural organic product is in the market at the moment. So people can say a product's natural without it being 100%. So I think the reason we got it is I was in Amsterdam with one of our Dutch distributors at the time. We went into this small health shop and we were talking to the lady who ran it. It was a beautiful health shop. And we are like, would you take our product? She said, is it certified? We're like, no, but it's totally natural. Why don't you just take it? And she's like, I don't want products that aren't certified because I've got customers that come in and say, we'll look at the ingredients list and say, is this natural? Is this natural? And she's like, I just don't have time to do that research. And it clicked for me because we've got, with the certification, it means that customers, retailers know that everything we put in our product is 100% natural origin. And someone else has checked our homework and they come in, they inspect our factory once a year, they inspect all our cleaning processes, our environmental processes. Every raw material that we use has to be checked off. So it's really, really rigorous. But I do think it gives customers that trust that everything that we're doing, we're doing, everything we say we're doing, we are actually doing. And we can look at ingredients lists of competitors' products and we have no idea whether they're fully natural or not because you can get synthetic grade ingredients which are a lot cheaper, or you can get natural grades which are a lot more expensive. And you just can't tell as a consumer or a retailer or even a brand looking at someone else's product, you can't tell. So that one is really important to us. We also have vegan and vegetarian society accreditation. Those both say that we don't use any animal ingredients in our products. We also have B Corp, which I know you guys have as well. Very painful process. Um, but that's more social and environmental to say that we're treating our staff well, and that we're doing what we can to improve our environmental impact. Then we have Living Wage Society, which we signed up to, which means that we pay all our staff over or equal to the living wage, which I think is really important. Um, and we have the Leaping Bunny certification, which is that's the gold standard in animal cruelty on cosmetics. That just means that we're not testing on animals in any way, and up to a gold standard on that. I think those are the main ones. We have so many now. I think we've got about seven, so we're probably going to get more as well. So it's quite and ISO manufacturing as well. That just means that we're working to strict manufacturing standards. And again, we get certified yearly for that to make sure that everything's up to standard. So
Hmm. That's crazy. That so you're allowed to advertise a product as being natural in the UK, but it might not necessarily be natural. Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
There's no legal legislation about what you can say or.
no, I think it's coming under more scrutiny with the new Green Claims Code. So I think it's going to be harder going forward. But I mean, technically, you can, and I've seen companies do this before. You can kind of say with 100% natural fragrance, but that just means that the fragrance is natural and
Right.
nothing else is. But you kind of assume that the product's natural. So yeah, I think there is a lot of natural wash, should I say, in the market. So
Yeah.
I think more and more companies are starting to put percentages on it now, which is really good.
Hmm. And the other thing now is I feel like it's really hard to like have a secret these days. So I feel like
Mm.
if you're like saying if you're kind of twisting it and trying to pretend that it's natural and it's not, and people buy your product for that reason, I feel like you know I feel like it's really worth having those kind of accreditations these days because you can frame that as a a benefit over your competitors potentially as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important. And there's so much misinformation out there. It's really difficult for people to know what is true and what's not. So I think certifications do provide consumers with a really good trust point. So I do think they're really important.
Hmm. And do you think it's helped you kind of like build your business to become more successful with these things, not just like with the branding and that, but
Yeah, I do. I think it's helped us carve out our market niche. Like we're very strict on being 100% natural origin. It has made it more difficult to launch products in the past because we're like, oh, we could have launched this if it's 97%, but I kind of think it's just a really easy line for people to know that salt of the earth is 100% natural origin. Um, if we had some products that are 95% and some products that are 97%, then I think it's a really harder message to tell people. And I think because we're backed up by the certifications as well, I do think it makes us really trustworthy, which is what we want.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
And I think that in itself is like almost like a story, isn't it? It's like almost saying
Mm,
like, well, we could do this and we could maybe even monetize it more, but that's not
yeah.
our brand.
So you were one of the first companies to pioneer refillable deodorants back in 2013. Can you talk about any challenges or misconceptions with refillable packaging models, both from your perspective and from a consumer perspective?
Um, yeah, I think so. Our challenge when we first brought it out was that I guess we did it as a test. We weren't sure whether it was going to go well or not. But people seemed to really like it, so we thought, let's do more of it. With our sprays, it was relatively easy. We could just buy an off the shelf refill bottle. Our spray bottles have like a nozzle that you can undo, so it worked so well. And we kind of set the refill price cheaper than buying the individual bottles because we thought then it makes sense for the customer then, and you're saving money, you're reducing your plastic usage. Perfect. With the roll-ons, it was a lot more difficult because there wasn't any packaging on the market that would do that off the shelf. And so we had to do a 2-year project to design our own packaging with a local design firm. And we launched those in 2022. And they're really cool. I mean, it's a really simple solution. You have one screw to screw off the cap and then another screw to screw off the rollerball, and then you can easily refill it. So I guess the challenge was it's a massive investment for us to get it to market and a long time as well. But we were one of the first with refillable roll-on, which was pretty cool. And it's such a good product to refill. I think the challenges are definitely how do you get that plastic saving? Because I do think that's necessary. We've been talking about having smaller sizes for a long time, but I think the smaller refill sizes only make sense if you still get a good refill. You still get a good plastic saving. And we were looking at pouches for a long time, but they all used to be multi-material, and so the recyclability was very questionable. So we spent ages looking for a monoplastic option, and the monoplastic option from 2027 will be curbside recyclable. You do have to take it to supermarkets at the moment, but it does mean it is recyclable, and it will be a lot more recyclable in the future. And so I think that is a really good option. I think the other challenge is, as I'm sure like everyone has, is what is the right thing to do on packaging, because we get lots of packaging through, and I think sometimes there's some look really sustainable. So we had these really cool packs sent through, which were kind of made of straw, and we're like, wow, they look so eco-friendly. That's incredible. And then when you dive into it, they've got 2% plastic in them, which makes them unrecyclable. And you're like, well, they look great. They look really environmentally friendly, but they're really the opposite. So we're like, we don't want to do things like that where the optics are good, but the actual ethics are really bad. So it's finding stuff where there is a good sustainability story, but it is a truthful one as well. And I think that's really what we're working to. And I guess it's not just refillability. It's like too much packaging on the actual product. We're really keen to try and keep our packaging to a minimum if we can, and try and optimize that packaging, and also try and pick packaging from that is low carbon to make. For example, I mean, we could bring out a product in glass, but then the glass takes quite a lot of energy to manufacture. It's then more weighty to ship. So it looks more sustainable, but is it more sustainable? So we battle with these questions all the time. So it's really interesting subject, and I'm not sure there's a right answer yet, but we're really trying to work out what's best.
And the kind of the formula you've got at the moment is kind of the easiest to recycle, deodorant packaging, I guess, the actual case,
Yeah.
and then refillable. So, like the benefit of refillable is that more just that it's using less plastic and less emissions to get it to the store when you buy a refill. Is that the kind of the benefit
Yeah,
of
and
it,
you're
or
using the initial plastic more. Yeah, so you're instead of say if you're buying with our new refill pouches, for example, if you brought three individual spray deodorants, then instead of buying that refill pack, then you would save 85% of the materials. And at the moment, our spray nozzles aren't recyclable, so you are reusing that part of the product that isn't recyclable as well. So we're trying to get people to reuse the packaging as much as possible to keep it in circulation for as long as possible, and then offer these refills with yeah much reduced saving in terms of packaging waste.
and has the uptake been big on that on the refillable model, or
Yeah, yeah, it's been really big. I mean, I was trying to look at the numbers the other day, and I think if you assume that everyone who has brought a refill has refilled them the amount of times that they're supposed to, we've probably saved usage of about 2.3 million
wow,
packs.
that's
So
huge.
yeah, it's a really, really big thing, and people are really interested in it at the moment. So it's a really good saving.
Hmm. And it felt to me, and I don't know because I'm not in your industry, but it felt to me like it was only
Mm.
about 2, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, where like the whole refillable packaging thing really just became big. Like it's like with your, like with deodorant, for example. Like I don't remember it like 10, 15 years ago, but it just seems like very recent. I'm just wondering, why is that? Why did it all of a sudden get really, really popular?
Yeah, I would say we had a lot of new competition come into the market in probably from 2019, and a lot of them are venture capitalist funded, so they came in with a lot of money to spend on marketing, and I think that has definitely increased the the market knowledge of natural deodorant in particular, and of the refill side of deodorant as well. I think it was a lot more niche in terms of knowledge before then. So that kind of marketing has definitely impacted us positively, and I think the category as a whole.
Hmm. And did you guys ever think about like trying to go down that route of like getting like VC funding and trying to think how do we scale and make a giant business, or what's your view on
Yeah,
that?
you know what I did, and I kind of it's not really the way I ever wanted to go, because I've kind of always been like, really enjoy what we're doing, want to build a company for the long term. But I did think, well, am I missing a trick here? Is the business like, oh, am I going to look back and think, oh God, I should have done that. That was really, so I asked around a lot of people, um, a lot of business people, and the reaction that I got from most people was, no, don't do it because um, there there's obviously some plus sides, but you do obviously venture capitalists do want their money back at the end of the day. It tends to be risky investments for them. I think they say like in, they'll invest in 10 companies and they'll only expect one or two of them to succeed. Um, and after, they expect you to sell out within 3 to 7 years, which wasn't particularly what I wanted to do. And also, I think I've, which may be very unfair to venture capitalists, but I've heard they're quite difficult to work with.
Hmm.
So most companies were like, "We've worked with them, don't do it." So I think, so I think from our perspective, we didn't really. It kind of made sense to go our own way and keep doing what we're doing, and I'm quite pleased we did. But I did think I kind of had a responsibility to do a bit of research in it for the business to make sure that we weren't going to suddenly get massively left behind. But no, have you guys ever had conversations about it?
Kind of. We get people contact us. I mean, we're just a
Yeah.
small independent business. Obviously,
Mm,
we're like growing, and it's kind of, I guess, like that space in the market. With like impact companies and especially like in
mm,
packaging as well. Like, I guess it's just so popular at the moment. But I don't
mm.
know. My gut feeling is it's like you just sell your soul to the devil then, and then you know, maybe you get loads of money, but then you're kind of that's like the end of the journey, right? So. Um, I don't know. Sometimes I think about it late at night when I'm still at work.
Yeah, I think it depends what you want as well, isn't it? If you want to build to grow and sell, I think that's a totally reasonable
Hmm.
way to do business. But it's not for everyone, is it? I've been doing this for 19 years now, and I quite would like to do another 19 to 20 years if I'm lucky enough. Um, but I don't really have that big push to sell. Um, so I don't know. I don't think there's a right or a wrong. It's just what works best for you and your business, I think.
Different ways of doing things.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the
Mm,
thing with us is like we often have, especially with Ellie, like we often have conversations and decide to do things that don't make us the most money. Sometimes they lose us money,
yeah,
and it's kind of like, well, how would that whole dynamic work? But I feel like we attract good people because we're more of a purpose-driven company, and I'm kind of like, would you lose that?
yeah,
Because I imagine it's all about how do we get our investment back? How do we get that money back? And I just, I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I haven't worked in that like that, so I just don't know the answer. But I imagine you get different investors who are after different things. But yeah, I think you probably would find it harder to explain to a hard-nosed investor why you wanted to
Yeah.
do something that would lose money. But but yeah, I think you've got to do what fits in with your values for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing,
Mm,
because ultimately I like doing what you've done, is it's not really the easiest thing to do. It's quite
No.
hard. So,
no. Mm,
what's the point in doing it if you're not enjoying it, I guess. And I think you have to be
yeah,
aligned. Yeah.
yeah, and I think you are in a sprint with a VC-led business. You've got 5 years to make it or go broke in the process.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably really, really high pressured as well. I can't imagine. But yeah, it's I guess it's all to do with whether you want to be in a long haul or a short sprint.
Um, so as you've expanded internationally, you mentioned earlier you're in, I can't remember now, but other countries.
35.
That's
Yes.
it, 35 countries.
Wow.
Amazing. How have you preserved the brand's natural ethical DNA during that? How have you held on to your principles as you've grown?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's our certifications because we have to stay true to those because we get audited every year. So, and I think it's also I think the brand's been successful because we've stuck to our values, and that's what we're desperate to preserve as we grow. And I think we've grown. We're relatively fast growing, but still very much a small business, and have grown a lot less fast than some of our competitors. So I think that has made it easier to an extent. But yeah, it's those certifications that we know that we're going to be audited, and we need to make sure we need to make sure we're living up to their standards and also preserving our brand message, which I think has made us successful in the first place.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm not so familiar with, obviously, with the other accreditations that you have, but I
Mm,
think B Corp is really good at kind of holding you to account with that. And because it's obviously a journey, isn't it? You're having to
yeah,
constantly improve. And with the new standards that are just coming out this year, um, it's definitely getting harder.
yeah. But
Yeah,
I think that's good. I think my worry with certifications is they try and make it easier to get more people involved. But actually, if you make it easier, you're diluting what people join for in the first place.
yeah,
And
definitely.
I think that dilution then brings more people in, and then it kind of loses its value to an extent. So I think although it's really hard work, and I did our B Corp application, and I know you did yours, didn't you, Ellie? So
Yeah.
I I feel your pain. It was really difficult. Um, but I think it's the standards being maintained, I think is probably where the value is, I think, in my eyes, and potentially getting stricter as well makes it more of a competitive advantage.
Mm. Yeah,
Mm.
I think that there's definitely criticism over it as well, and people say
Mm,
that some of the bigger companies shouldn't be part of it for various reasons. Probably some of the
mm,
reasons we've talked about.
mm,
But I think I think B Lab's argument is kind of like get, um, you can't achieve, real change without including those bigger companies. That's not to
Yeah.
say, I know you just mentioned about diluting. It's really difficult. You've got to start
mm.
somewhere, haven't you? Um,
I guess if they're living up to high standards, then you can't really not
yeah,
include
Yeah.
them, can you?
I think the new standards are definitely addressing some criticisms that this is my opinion anyway,
Mm.
that have happened, and I think it's definitely harder for the bigger companies as well. there's a lot more hoops to jump through now. So yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess.
I think the thing I thought with B Corp, which is not as common with a lot of accreditations, but it's way more like community focused. Like the amount of other B Corps that we get to speak to and like go to events and like really nice. Collaborate on stuff on. Well, it's really helpful just in building a business and fun just to speak to other people and hear what they're doing and how can you work together. And, you know, it's just a really healthy way to build a business, I think. And am I right in saying like the new standards are a bit more pretend I know because I'm not actually doing it. But
well, you are, but we're still kind of working our way through because we're going to recertify. Hopefully, we're going to try and recertify on the new standards next. Well, it would be next year, but I think there's an extension because they've only just brought them out. So we're kind of receiving lots of information at the moment, and we're a bit like, oh, what's going on?
Is there a lot more geared towards like collaboration more? And how do you work with other?
So it's working with other businesses and the community, which was already in it, but there are some additional requirements. I'll put it that way, which I think is really good. Being a bit vague here, aren't I? But
yeah,
I think like for any business that doesn't know much about B Lab, I think it's just really helpful because you could just log on and get the B impact assessment. You don't necessarily have to go through with it, but you can just fill it out and see where you come on it, and it's got loads of helpful information. They've released lots of training videos for the new standards as well, so that's what we're looking at the moment.
Yeah, I think for me with B Corp, it was like I kind of felt we were doing all the stuff anyway, and so.
Yeah,
it's quite easy to go around and say, oh yeah, we're a really ethical company, we're doing good things. But then unless you have that certification to say we do it, and I was kind of mid-application when all the controversy around B Corp came out. And so I kind of did a bit of soul searching on it. I was like, is it worth the effort? And then I thought, well, we're doing it all already, and it shows that we're doing it to a high standard. So actually it's got to be a good thing for us. And other companies may be doing it as well, but we've got other certifications as well. It's not our only one. We do have others in our bag to differentiate us against other companies that have it too. So I think for me it was a bit of a no-brainer in the fact that we do the stuff anyway, so we may as well be able to shout about it. But I've never been to a B Corp event. What are they like? Are they good?
Yeah. So I don't know. Depending on where you're based, there might be like a B local that you can attend. Or you can try and form one. Whereabouts are you? I've completely forgotten where you are again.
We are down in Southampton.
So
nice. I'll have to look out.
There's a lot of
I'm
stuff
not very
going
good
on
at getting out of the office.
London, Brighton. Yeah. or you could try and make your own. That's the.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, we do the People Planet Pints, just kind of sustainability meetup, not particularly B Corp focused, but something just bringing people together from a sustainability perspective.
Cool. Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys do to try and collaborate with other kind of B Corps or other organisations to try and have like a positive impact or?
I'd really love to have a great story for you. We do collaborations on Instagram and stuff, but we should definitely do more collaborations, I think. We haven't really done any business collaborations, but I do think that's an area we should look at. You guys have done some, haven't you?
We do a few bits. I mean, it's quite easy in a way because like our actual business model is something quite easy to collaborate with people on because if they use packaging and that, so maybe it's a bit easier for us. But yeah, it's a nice movement. Did you have another question, Eleanor, or? We didn't talk about the king yet.
The king.
No, we haven't talked about the king.
How did this award? How did you get this? How did it come about?
Well, our head of sales, Emily, she had in her previous role, she had noticed what impact getting a King's Award had on businesses. So she was like, "We need to apply. We need to apply." And so she did most of the application. It's quite a intensive application. And we stuck it in last year, and then we found out this year that we won it for international trade, which was fantastic. And we got a lot of press and PR for it. It's one of the UK's most prestigious business awards. Um, we got an invite through to Windsor Castle to go and meet the King. And obviously, as Emily did the application form, I was like, "You get first refusal of this." She was like, "No, I'm going to go." And I was like, "Okay, okay, that you totally deserve it, but I'm really jealous." So now I'm like, they've got some other King's Awards, so I'm like, I think maybe we've got to put in another application, so I get to go to Windsor Castle this time. But I think it's really good. I think it was a really good sign for our culture that people feel like they can come up with these ideas and go for it, because I probably wouldn't have known about it myself or thought to do it. So it's been really good. And in October we get the Lord Lieutenant for Hampshire coming to our um, premises to present us with our King's Award officially. So that's going to be really exciting as well. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. And is it how do you guys like are you good at like celebrating success as a business, and how do you do that?
Um, no, probably not. If
We're
I'm
quite
if
bad
I'm
as well, to
totally
be
honest,
fair.
I'm trying to get better. But I find like I used to find that a lot more, that you'd have a really good month and you'd get you'd launch a new product or something and go really well, and I would kind of have like a few minutes of yes, that's great, and then I'd be like, what am I going to do next? What's next month going to be like? What's that? What next product are we going to launch next? So I think I'm trying to get a bit better at reinforcing like our wins to the team as well, because I think it's important to realize what you've achieved. Otherwise, you're constantly doing, and not reflecting on how much has happened. But yeah, we are definitely going to have a big celebration for the King's Awards, and I'm going to try. I've been trying to do a few more mini celebrations, but I definitely need to up my party game, I think,
Yeah.
for the office. Do you guys struggle with that as well, or?
Yeah, because like when you have a small business and it's growing,
Mm,
it's hard to kind of just actually find the time to do stuff like that.
mm,
Obviously, everyone always says it's really important. It's just starting to get a little bit better at it.
mm,
Like having to have like parties and stuff, but it's
Yeah,
challenging for sure.
we do like monthly team kind of well-being events. We try and do get everybody together on an
oh, that
afternoon
sounds cool.
and just do something. It can be anything really, can't it?
Yeah.
Um,
But to be honest, sometimes they're really good, but sometimes as well, it's like when there's loads of stuff going on, sometimes it is hard to do it and actually be like, yeah, everyone's
Yeah,
enjoying
Get
themselves and
off the
it's
phone.
having an impact.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
sometimes we hit it right and sometimes it's
Yeah.
feels a bit forced. So I guess
Mm.
it's a
Yeah,
work
it's
in
tricky.
progress.
Oh, very cool. I try and shout out our weekly wins on our Monday morning meetings, but normally gets to Monday and I'm like, I can't remember what happened last week. Can barely remember what I had for breakfast.
And also every
But yeah,
Monday,
so that's
everyone's always like, woo, on a Monday because everyone's got any energy.
yeah,
So.
yeah, yeah. Everyone's back to work. It's the best day of the week. That's what I tell people, but no one believes me. So
All right. So the penultimate question. So you've got very long history, really.
mm,
With Salt of the Earth, and you guys have been around a long time. And amazingly, it
mm,
kind of feels like you're in a kind of still in early stages in your industry, because I feel like there's going to be so much
mm,
growth in what you guys are doing.
mm.
So I wondered, where do you think you'll be in like another 5, 10, 15 years? Like what are your ambitions as a company?
Um, I think I think we want to keep growing. We want to do more internationally than we've been doing. And I think sustainability is going to be key in the next 5 to 10 years, because I think there's much more regulation coming in. I think people are going to be more, even though I think there's some kind of pushback in the media about the whole climate change and stuff. I think actually when we get the weather change events, it's actually going to come more into people's minds. And so we're really focusing on what we can do to improve our sustainability. We're hopefully signing off solar panels for our roof very shortly, so we can generate a lot of our own electricity. And so I think more on sustainability. going to get trying to get more innovative, bring out new products. Because again, I think the whole what I guess looking back, what product we had in 2010 or 2015 is totally different to what we have today. So trying to predict where the market's going and bringing out those products is definitely going to be key for us.
Nice. And where do you see the world in, say, 10 years? From an environmental perspective, from like a climate change perspective.
I'm very positive. I think it's gonna, I drive down the road and see a lot more solar panels up. I think I think in 10 years, the amount of technology we have that will be able to help us reduce our emissions is going to be much improved. I think people will have more knowledge, and I think the next generation will probably have a different idea of what sustainability is. Like I was playing Stalvanian Families with my daughter the other day, and she was putting like the little rabbit and the little giraffe in the car, and they're driving to the playground. And she was like, oh, she's like, and they've driven to the playground in a smoke car. And I was like, what's a smoke car? And she's like, one of those old-fashioned cars with smoke coming out the back. So I was like, oh yeah, that does make total sense. But then I was like, well, there's a total generational divide because they're still relevant to me, but it's old for her, and it's really interesting how the next generations are going to come up thinking so differently.
No, it's definitely. I definitely feel like every generation, like a difference between me and like my parents. When it comes to like impact, like it's completely different.
Yeah, and I think the technology part's going to be really important because I don't think people are going to accept a reduction in their living standards. So I think technology's got to adapt to make sure people have great lives still, but with less carbon impact. And I think definitely there's ways that can happen. So I'm positive. It's going to be great.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. We hope it was truly
Earth your while.
For more information, visit reusebox.co.uk/earthyourwhile.
And if you'd like to appear on the next series of Earth Your While, please email media@reusebox.co.uk.